Yeah.
Okay, so have you done Hangouts before?
I did one with Michael,
Okay.
but we didn't practice the switching over.
Okay, no
To,
worries.
yeah, do
So,
the
what do you have your photos open?
yes.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go up on the left-hand side over here, and the second icon, the green one with the little arrow through it, that's your screen share. So, perfect. See? Piece of cake. So you'll just pull up the big one.
Can you see it?
No, I'm still seeing the collection of all 8.
Okay. So what do I do?
My guess is that you probably had to pull one of them up big and then select that screen. So actually, up at the top of your screen now, it should say like quit screen sharing or stop screen share or something like that.
It just says you are screen sharing.
Okay, then just go over to the little green icon and click it again.
Click out of this one.
There you go. Now go into the file that you had them all in and actually pull one of the photos up so that it's big.
It was big on my screen.
Okay, but it wasn't on mine because you selected it before you picked it, before you made it big. So you want to pick one of them and make it big, and then you want to click the screen share button after that.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
I completely lost it though. When I clicked out, I don't have it anymore.
Okay, can we pick a different program to open them up in then? Are you on Windows or Mac?
Windows.
The other option is that you can actually open them from the Google community if you have them in there on your level 4, and we can go through the album directly from Google.
Right, still on screen share?
Mm-hmm.
But it's only pulling up, okay, Google Hangouts. Community. I've only got 3 things showing. And
Well, it'll only show what you actually have open on your computer. There you go.
Go here.
Okay, so you would want to click over to your community for JLark. There you go. And yeah, pick JLark 3, and then you would just want to open up in yours. There we go. So can you minimize the chat window?
There it comes.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I need to slow down, right?
So it should be in level 4, so you can probably go right over to level 4 up at the top. There you go. All right, I see Michael and Craig.
I can see you.
Probably because you're in the Hangout window and not in the actual community.
So what do I do?
You have to minimize the Hangout window so that you're not in the chat with me. Don't exit it, just minimize it.
Like that?
Oh. Well, now we're back to you.
Well,
okay, so I'm gonna help you out because it's
actually I can go. I can go right here now. I think I can open this back up. And then I can come back to this. Do you see them?
I see all of the little ones. Can you pull them up larger? Because that was the problem last time, was that they weren't enlarged.
You
It was
see it
just
now? Because I have it large on my screen.
no, because it's opening up a separate window, and the screen share shares one window. So the screen share is sharing the single window. So unless you can go into that actual window and make it show one instead of all 8. It's okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to pull it up on my screen. And I'm going to help you out this one. And it is your homework to make sure that you do a couple more test hangouts with one of the other masters in training. And have them walk you through until you get used to the hangout and the screen share, because it can be a little daunting at the beginning.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Trust me, all of them will tell you. If you watch all of their level 4 critiques, it's the same thing. All of us were going back and forth and doing it. But you guys all together now in the 3rd house, I have 45 apprentices, so we've done this a few times. Trust me, but if you do it 45 times, you'll be a pro at it too.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to keep it on my screen then, and we'll go through, and I'll just advance them for you. But basically what I want you to do is just tell me a little bit about making the image, what you like and what you don't, and then I'm going to grade you on a scale of 0 to 3. I'm incredibly harsh and difficult, and I know that you're feeling a little nervous, so I just want you to know that if you don't pass, that I'm removing you from my house immediately.
Okay.
I'm just teasing.
Girl, don't say that to me.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about this image.
All right, this is the very first shoot that I actually ever did, and this is my son's girlfriend, and we just, to get used to my camera and stuff, we went out and did some pictures, and this is one of my favorite of the ones we did. I do know I see now that I've got her foot cut off, and there's too much light, I think, on the side of her face. And I do have the oh, you've got it. I tried to fix it, so that's why there's another picture of it. I tried to tone it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the way she was looking in this one, and just having the kind of bad A look to her.
Okay. So I love the idea of this shot. I think the styling is really good, and I like it with the texture of the wall with the graffiti. I think that suits really well for like a senior portrait kind of genre. Hands flat against the wall, that's a no-no. It's a line all the way down to the end of her fingers. You want to put a little bit of space in the angles. Same thing here. This knee, because of the way that she has it locked and it's coming forward, it almost looks like her leg's a little broken. So having a little bit of bend forward in the knee would have been helpful. You cut off this leg with the bottom of the frame, but you actually also cut off this foot
Yeah.
because of the posing. So she has no feet.
Yeah.
This arm I probably would have been inclined to actually bring up and raise up and over her head just to give her a little more dimension. And you want to be careful about this arm here, because with it leaning against her body, it takes away from the shape of her figure. And it's a little bit different when we're shooting teens and younger women, because we're not necessarily trying to promote sexuality, but you are trying to promote femininity, and you still want her to have a girlish figure. So with the line of the arm straight down, we're losing this nice little curve that we would have had if you had brought that arm down and out and kind of had her hand on her hips more. You always want space in between the arms and the sides of the body. She's kind of got that teenager don't care attitude, but she's rocking it a little too hard to where it looks like she's bored. So, talking with her, teasing her, especially if you have a good relationship with her, because she's your son's girlfriend, where you can get her to have some emotion in the face, I think would be really helpful. So, you're in a couple of
She's
my
a
groups.
model.
Go ahead.
She's a model, so I was letting her do her posing.
Nope.
Um, so that's why I did, because like I said, it was the first one, and I did not know how to pose yet. So
No.
I do see exactly what you're saying, though.
All of my clients, whether they've never been in front of a camera in their life or I'm working with, Playboy models, like Sarah Clayton's got 900 and some thousand followers now on her fan page, like, and that girl knows how to move, so it's easier for us to take good pictures together, but she does not know what she looks like from your perspective and through your lens. She's guessing. So it's always on you to pose, to amend, to change, and interact. This is, you have the camera in your hands, so you're the artist. She's the clay. The clay doesn't get to be in charge of what it gets turned into. That's still on you. So I'm willing to give you a little bit of leeway on that, because you're still new and you're learning, and that's a crutch that a lot of fledgling photographers kind of rest on. With, I was letting the model do their thing, but what you're really saying is I didn't know what to have her do.
Yeah, well, I didn't. That's why
Yeah.
this, she was doing her stuff, and I was trying to just get used to the camera. But I did like
Yeah.
the look. But now that you're pointing all the extra stuff out, I definitely see all that.
Yeah, and it's both, and that's a very good point. If you're, if you were just playing with the camera and the lighting and the settings and letting her, pose herself so that you could get used to that, totally cool. I'm all about the learning experience and letting that be your focus and not worrying too much about the subject because you were playing with, with the camera itself and the technicalities. But this is the only time that you will get away with that excuse.
Okay.
Fair deal?
Fair deal.
Okay. That said, I'm being harsh with you because that's the reality of
I
it.
want you to be harsh. I mean, I don't want to cry for you, but I want to know what I'm doing wrong.
I
Like,
know, I hate that I have the reputation for making everybody cry. But it's good. It's part of the growth process, and there's going to be some growing pains along with it. But saying I don't know what to do, like most people can get halfway there, but they let fear take over. So by saying, you know, I let her pose herself, and then going a step further and admitting I let her pose herself because I didn't know how to pose her, that's awesome. But if in that moment you allow I don't know what to do with her to mean I'll let her take it, then you're never going to learn because you're not experimenting with it either. The only way that you're going to get good at posing is to actually pose and interact and take charge. Even if you mess it up, I would rather you make every mistake you possibly could in terms of posing and composition, but have had you try, because we can point it out and we can adjust. If you don't open your mouth, you have no control over what the final input is. So I'm going to give this one a 1. I think that no, I'm gonna give it a 2 because it's level 4 critique, and I've seen your images, and it's not a bad image. I do like the styling. I do like the senior portrait kind of feel and the texture of it. Um, there's definitely room for improvement, but I don't think that it's a bad image. There's some rookie mistakes, but they're going to be really easy corrected, and they're not mistakes that you're going to make by the time we get to level 9. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you commendable on this one.
great, thank you.
Okay, tell me about this one.
This one is a sweet, sweet little girl, and her mom wanted me to do her 2-year-old pictures. So I knew this field, and I wanted to take her out there, and I think I was getting something, fixing to get something, a reflector or something out of the bag. I turned around, and she was like this, sitting like this, and I just had to grab that shot. She's kind of got that look of like she's just that little daydreamy look, innocent little child, you know, just in her own little world. And I just kind of like that because you can kind of look at the picture and then you can add to it as well as what is she thinking, you know, what she's, you know, I don't know. Just I want to do pictures where you can look at them and kind of add to them of what your emotions are, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do know that, you know, some of the other apprentices had told me about being too high, too much sky. So if on the next picture that's on there, I tried to correct that. I brought it down and kind of gave it a little bit of a vignette. Or actually, no, you don't have that because that's in my other file. Sorry. But I did bring it down, and I kind of put like a vignette around it to be more focused on her, and but that's all I did to it.
Okay. And I can agree. You also have like these contrasting kind of horizon lines where this, you know, the tree line seems tilted, but the actual horizon line of the grass doesn't. So I would be inclined to just change the crop ratio too and bring it down here. There's only a couple of things that are jumping out at me. I would have taken out this little grain right here just because it's so dark in comparison and just making you kind of hop over. Her hair highlight is just a little bit of a hot spot here. It doesn't kill it for me, but I'd like to see if we could tone it down and bring it to like this color, you know, and texture. I would have taken out the lines of the telephone wires. I think they're a little bit distracting. But I think you're right. I love the posing. I like the backlighting and the hair light, but you have to be careful about where you're having them posed. If you turned her just a little more, we wouldn't have got this little weird like geometric shape of light on the side of her face. She would have been completely flat lit. And it would have also taken the light off of here to flat light it. Either that or we had to turn her a little bit more and actually turn her to the light, and then it would have been a little bit higher contrast. I'd be inclined to go in digital and dodge and burn a little bit just to give her a little bit more of a 3D shape because she is very flat against the background right now. And I really love this shot, but my next frame would have been me whistling or, you know, making some kind of noise to make her eyes pop up and make her look up and out of it, because I think the connection with the camera would have been really strong, and I just keep wishing for it. And you're getting bonus points because I have that rocking horse. And I love it. But yeah, it's very simplistic. It's very country childhood. It's very sweet and simple. I can totally see this being one of the mom's like favorite images from this session. And she's super cute with the pose, and you can tell it's very natural. It's not posy, and I think that's it's always a big success with children's portraiture in particular, I think, when you catch some of their genuine personality and it's not posed or forced. Because this is one of those images that mom comes back to later when, you know, when she's graduating high school and when she's starting to drive and when she leaves for college and when she gets married and has her own babies. You know, this is one of the shots that she comes back to and sees exactly who she was at that age in that moment. So that's always a win for me. I agree about the vignetting, very, very slight vignetting all the way around. I think would have just pulled you into her just a little bit more, and a more shallow depth of field, I think, in the future, so that the texture of the grass isn't competing with her, because there's so much of it around her. I would have been inclined to shoot from a little bit of a higher angle and tilt the lens down a little bit so that the horizon line wouldn't have cut it off at the top of her head too. But overall, I do really love this shot. This is one of my favorites I've seen from you. So I'm going to give you a 3 for this one. I think it's exemplary from what I've seen from your collection so far.
Thank you.
All right, tell me about this one.
Okay, this one, not too, well, about an hour up the road, is an area called the Blue Ridge Parkway that goes up to into the mountains, and we were going to go get a sunset picture, but the clouds and all were not working with us that day, and but I just started snapping pictures, and it was very, very, very windy and cold that night, that day up there. But I loved the mountains. It's just one of my favorite places to be, and I, that's just what we were doing. We were there for sunset, and that's one of the pictures I got.
Mm. I love the richness of the colors in this with the oranges and the blues contrasting each other. I think it's really strong. This is a beautiful shot with all the rolling mountains and the hills. I could totally see Trey taking something something similar and making it really epic with his retouching. That said, I'm not entirely sure that this is you know, professional landscape worthy as opposed to just being in a beautiful location. Like, I don't know that people wouldn't be able to get the same kind of image if they were standing in the same spot. You know, like what sets it apart as a Renee one. I love the richness of the blues, and I love the leading lines, and that the clouds almost seem to the bottom of the clouds kind of seem to follow the bottom or the top of the line of the mountain ridge. I think you could have played a little bit more with the contrast and the dodge and burn just to really make those mountains pop and make them more three-dimensional. And I'm not sure what you were shooting on or how much of that is being lost in translation with it being a online image, but it's really, really noisy and grainy too with the far mountains, and that's losing it a little bit for me. So I'm going to give you a 1 for this one. I think it shows promise. I see what you were going for, but I don't think that it would fit your portfolio for me right now. I just don't think it's a strong enough image to say that it's a professional photo.
Okay.
Okay, tell me about this one.
This one is a friend of my husband's child is on a travel soccer team, and they were visiting, or they had a tournament here, and so we went to watch. And I really enjoy sports. Our boys have grown up doing sports, and so I would just, was wanting to get some action shots and play around with the cameras with that, and I just started snapping pictures, and this is one of the ones I really liked out of it. I don't like all the people in the background. I need to learn to get more of a vocal look of them, I guess is what you would call it. But overall,
as in them being more in focus in the background?
No, being more blurred out.
Okay.
Because I don't want people. I would rather, my eye goes to the girl and the expression on her face and how determined she looks, but the people kind of are distracting because my eye kind of wanders to the people and not staying focused on her. If that makes.
Yeah, I hear you, and I agree. How familiar are you with your camera settings? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how well would you say you know and understand your equipment?
Probably about a 5 or 6. I've gotten better since these pictures were done.
Okay, so
better, not a whole lot, but
okay. So then, do you understand how the depth of field is accomplished and how to make the people in the background more blurry?
Like the lower the aperture, the more blurred they're going to be.
Exactly. Now the problem with that is that the more shallow the aperture, especially with action shots, it's really hard
There's speed.
a lot of times to freeze it and to keep what you want in focus in focus. You know, so those are the two things that people that are doing motion shots and action shots always have a hard time with, is making sure that what they want in focus is tack sharp, and making sure that they're shooting at a high enough shutter speed that they're not getting motion blur unless that's what they're going after. I'm gonna give you some tough love here, girlfriend. I totally understand why it would be an awesome shot for mom to have, but I also don't think that there is anything that's really setting this shot aside that says it was taken by a professional photographer and not by any of the parents that were on the sidelines that day that had a decent camera.
Okay.
You know, it's a great moment. I see the determination and I see it being on the wall, which really, you know, like the bottom line is that if this is where you want to be with your work and something you want to be shooting and it's selling, that's the telltale sign for me. Like, we can teach and we can improve, but, you know, as long as whoever the client is, which in this case would be her parents, love it, then it's a success. You know, but for me personally, I would not see this in my newsfeed on any of my social media and think one of my photographer friends took it. I would just think it was somebody shooting their kid at the game, which is totally fine. Like, I have plenty of photos like that, but they're not in my portfolio. They're just photos of my kids. Like, there's a difference between, you know, doing the family thing and being out and shooting in the context of being a professional. So this one wouldn't make your portfolio for me. I don't think it's strong enough, so I'm going to give you a 1 for this one. I think it shows promise. I see where you were going with it, and it has elements of what could make a good photograph, but I just think we missed it.
Okay.
All right, tell me about this one.
All right. This was a group of us local photographers kind of get together, and this was the bride of. We were doing a bridal, or they were doing a bridal shoot with her, and we were at this location that has all these old buildings and vehicles and stuff like that, and this was one of the poses that she was placed in, and we were practicing with the lighting and stuff like that, and I had come around to the side of the truck and had told her, you know, said her name, and she just, you know, leaned her head back, and I snapped the shot. But I can see, like in the, I can see a lot of flaws in it. The pole in the bottom, which in the ones I was going to show you, I had removed the pole. There's a pole in the bottom left corner. I think it might have been a flash stand or something. Not sure. I removed that. I tried to sharpen her eyes more, and I toned it down some because she's just too bright. I don't like the way her legs are posed. I would change that. And there's that sharp, bright line, light on her leg. It's just too much, I think. But I just thought she, you know, it was a kind of neat and different pose because that's what I'm looking at trying to capture in my pictures.
Right. I love her expression in this one. I agree with you about the pole. I think it's really distracting. I'm also not a big fan of the sunspots,
Yeah.
the beams. Super cute shot. You're completely on the right track as far as her upper body goes. You could have gotten in a little bit closer to her, and it is a little bit soft focus around here. When you're doing these kind of shots, it's got to be on the eyes. You missed the focus point. It's on the necklace. But that's, you know, I've been doing it for years. I know what I'm doing, and I still do that on occasion, especially if you're on, you know, if you're letting your camera autofocus. Sometimes it just misses it. It happens. And as you get better, you'll just learn to be upset about it and be angry and let that shot go because you didn't quite get it. And this is one of them. Like, it's too much. Now, the one thing that you cannot fix in Photoshop is focus. you know, if you miss it, you miss it. But
Yeah.
if you have to save the shot and it's close, which this one isn't too far, the way to fake it is, like you said, to sharpen the eyes, but then to add blur to everything else. So if the necklace and the feet and everything were more blurred, and we had added the illusion of a shallow depth of field, and added more blur to everything else around her, then by contrast, her eyes would seem even sharper because now everything else is less in focus than that. The problem that's giving you away right here is that the necklace is tack sharp. So sharpening the eyes isn't doing anything because they still look less sharp than the necklace. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So I would be inclined to go in and create a new layer or a mask or whatever you want to do, and just select this part of her face and leave that in focus and blur everything else out until her eyes are the sharpest thing on the page. This leg is not working for me. I think if you had had her bring her foot down here and turn it out, that it would have been a stronger shot because of the angles. It just makes it look almost like her hip is dislocated from the rest of her because of the fabric. Yeah, and you know, and this is part of it. Like, don't get discouraged by anything I'm saying, because like this is how you learn. Like the next time you go and they do that, and again, the model not being able to see what it looks like from your angles, you know, the next time that you see this, you'll stop and you'll correct it. So I don't want you feeling like discouraged by anything that I'm saying. I'm just pointing out the points. It's a little bit hot on the legs, and on the dress. We were off just a little bit, and a little bit hot on this line right here that comes across her face and her eye. But that's just lighting and technique. I don't know if you could go back in and pull that out. Once the highlights are gone, they're usually gone. But I think there's enough definition that I'm catching with some of the others that you could probably go in and tone that down a little bit. This image would probably work better if you actually cropped it as a landscape and sacrificed the shoes, because the lower body isn't doing anything for me. So I think if you actually came in and cropped it here and made it a landscape, or cropped it in, you would get rid of most of the pole. That might be a better shot, but it depends on how out of focus it is, and if zooming it in is gonna make it unsalvageable. So I totally see where you were going here, and I think that it has a lot of promise, but I feel like you missed the mark again. So I'm gonna give you a 1. It's a really, really high 1, but it didn't quite cross over to 2. I don't think that this one is portfolio worthy. I know that you're going to be one of these apprentices, and Doug can tell you because I beat on him too. You're going to be one of these people that comes in and scores a little bit lower in your first critique, and then level 9 is going to come, and you are just going to kill it with all exceptional images. Because I can see different things that we've been talking about already, and that I've seen you learn and seen them come into play in some of the things you've shared in like the Profit Follows Passion group on Facebook and other things with you and me. Like, you've got it. It's just a quick learning curve, and it will be a fast one for you. So, but you still have enough points. You still passed level 4, so you get to stay.
Yay! He didn't kick me out the first time.
Nobody's been kicked out. We would just go back through it again. But everybody passes level 4. You know, the important thing is to remember, like, when we do your level 9 critique, you'll get judged based on where you were at level 4. You know, it's only a race against yourself. That's it. We're just looking for growth. So I know it's been a little bit stressful for you, and you've been getting used to the Google format and stuff like that. That took me a couple of weeks to get used to when I first came in too. So how are you feeling joining the Arcanum?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I love all the feedback. I love that, you know, I'm seeing so many different forms of art, and I like that as well. And just being able to be critiqued on my work so I can learn from that is a huge plus for me. because that's what that's what I need.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about why you joined the Arcanum and what you're looking to do. You're here for 20 levels, so um, coming in the door as you are right now and where you want to be when you leave. What does that look like? What are you trying to accomplish?
I want to do more. I want to. I don't. I'm not really big. I don't want to do no weddings. I've tried that. I hate it.
Good.
Too stressful. I want my pictures. I think, like I've said before, I want to get more creative in my work.
Okay.
That's a huge thing that I'm wanting to learn. But I think I need to learn how to take pictures better before I can get to being more creative.
That's good. You're already leaps and bounds ahead of most people that are starting out because they try to shoot everything. Hi, guilty as charged. I totally did that my first year, and it's not a good thing. So the fact that you know what you don't like, it's just as important as knowing what you do like, and it'll save you a lot of time and energy and heartache and frustration to not even attempt to delve into those. So, what do you love to shoot? What really excites you?
Old stuff and landscape type stuff.
Okay.
I like children, I guess, because I've always loved working with children and being around them. But I just don't have the patience anymore, I don't think, to work with children as
Okay.
far as trying to do pictures. Um, I don't. I've got to really work more on if I'm going to do portrait work on getting better at lighting and just everything, I guess. Um, the thing that just I want to really that really gets me is I want to do pictures that people can look at and get lost in them.
Okay.
I want them, to be magical, mystery, if that makes any sense. I want pictures that they can look at and imagine, put their own imagination in there and add to the picture.
Okay.
Something kind of there.
Give me three photographers that create magical imagery that you put yourself into. Give me an example.
You are really the
Okay.
only one. I don't. Yours is the first ones I think I've seen, and that's what. When I started taking pictures, I love the get lost in the picture feel. I don't know if that makes. I don't know how to explain it. And then when I saw yours, that made me feel exactly like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been trying to create, or think what I see in my head all the time, but I can't get it on a picture.
Okay. Can you give me an example of a photo? Like which one really moves you?
The ones with the girl with the long dress, where she's in the kind of in the woods with the fire. No,
Okay.
I don't know the name of it.
Okay, so like with the red hair, the girl with the burning bridge?
Yes, the burning
Yeah,
bridge.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the retreats. Okay, so we're leaning more towards like a fantasy glamour kind of feel,
Yeah.
something that's
Yeah.
that's over the top and that you wouldn't see normally. That's what resonates with you. That's what I'm looking for is a closer thing. So I'm I'm gonna give you a little bit of a hard time and tease you a little bit, but if that's what's really moving you, why are you bringing photos of soccer games and mountains and
Because I can't fit myself to one picture, one style yet. I don't know where I need to be because I don't know if I can get those types of shots. So I'm just trying to feel around to see which is how would I, the ones I do the better best at.
Okay, in any of the shots that you brought to critique today, did you feel that sense of being in a magic moment and creating something amazing?
No.
Hmm. That's a really good sign that you're not
Because
where
I
you're
haven't
supposed to
really
be.
found any, I haven't done any of those types other than the one of the girl that, of my niece that I did that you gave me the challenge to do
Okay, so that's a great first attempt. And why didn't any of those come to critique?
because they weren't good either.
Okay, so here's, and that's fair enough. And I'm not, it's not my job to sugarcoat and baby you and tell you something that's not true. You're a beginner. Here's the thing is that that's totally fine. Have you seen any of my images from my first shoot? This is going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I'm going to link you. Remind me when we're done. I'm going to link you on Facebook to the album that I have, because the girl in the red hair in front of the burning bridge, the shot that is the pinnacle of everything you want to create, she was the first session I ever did as a photographer. Ever. 5, 6 years ago now. And the pictures suck. Like, they're so bad. They're way worse than any of your beginning pictures. Like, they're really bad. They're really awful. They're terrible retouching. They're terrible lighting. They're not in focus. They're very pixelated. They're very noisy. Because I was a beginner. And because it was 6 years ago now. I've redeemed myself because now I have pictures of her in a $20,000 dress in front of a bridge that's on fire. But that came years later, literally. And the thing is that if you go on her Facebook page, she still has the original photo shoot up because she still loves them, because there was still something about them. And I can see the something about them in your shots that we'll be able to go back to later and go, that's what it was. See, we saw it. It was there. She had it. She just hadn't figured out how to tap into it. It's like trying to break into a combination lock. Like, eventually you're going to hit the right combination, and then it's just going to click for you. So I don't want you to be discouraged at all, because my first photos, they were so much worse than yours. I can't wait to show them to you. I'm excited. I'm excited to show you how bad I sucked. Because I think it's really important, and I didn't have anybody that I was studying under either, let alone an entire community of people that are at all different talent levels and experience levels that will help you grow. Like, the growth that I have seen in some of the members here and how fast and how far, if I had been able to grow that much, I would be a millionaire by now. And I think that we're going to see that with you too. However, my greater point was that I would rather see photos that are absolutely dreadful, like just fail all the way through and everything is wrong with them, that are attempts of things that you really feel passionate about and really want to be shooting. Okay? I would rather see an epic failure of a fantasy kind of concept and shoot that you feel was a miserable failure than to see a mediocre or even a good photograph of a soccer game if that isn't what you want to do. Because there are photographers that absolutely love it. Like, they love shooting the events and the sports and all of the motion and stuff, and that lights them on fire. But if that's not you, then that's not what you should be wasting your time taking pictures of. I was really, really proud of you when you put those photos up. Especially because you had all kinds of issues with, like, wardrobe and stuff getting there and things like that. And I remember having that conversation with you, and I was tough loving you a bit then too, even before you were in the Arcanum. But you went for it and you attempted it and you learned something about that, and that's one step closer. Like, everybody thinks that, like, you start here and you have two options: there's success and there's failure. And so if they fail, then they go, oh, well, I didn't do well. But it's not like that. Like, you're here and success is up here, and it's going to be, I'm working, I'm failing, I'm working, I'm failing. Like, it's part of the process up to success. You cannot do it without it, and you will learn a hell of a lot more from your failures than you will from your success. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So for level 9, whatever you're bringing to critique should be what you want to be known for.
Okay.
That being said, if I could make you an absolute expert and I could create the talent and skill level, and we could bypass all of that, and you would be creating this beautiful imagery that you're just can't wait to show everyone. Is the fantasy stuff and the sort of magical glamour, is that what you want to be known for?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to start putting your focus into concepts for shoots upcoming in the next couple of months that feature around that and are you being creative. More of what you were doing in the Profit Follows Passion group.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling encouraged or are you feeling discouraged?
I'm encouraged. Got to figure it out, I guess.
It's slow. It's a process. You know, it really is. I don't want you getting discouraged, and I don't want you feeling insurmountable. It's little steps. I'm already seeing differences in the first photos that I saw from you when you started to where you are now and your understanding of it. And you'll be really surprised how fast it's going to change with the critique levels and having other people give you feedback, because all of the things that we went over in critique, you'll start seeing them before you trigger the shutter. Yeah. So you'll conquer those things, and then you'll come back again, and then we'll do other things, and then it really does build really fast on itself that way.
Yeah, I actually did my first boudoir shoot last night of another niece who was wanting one done for her husband, and the whole time I kept saying to myself, every time I looked, I'd try to get her hair, at least one side of her neck showing.
See? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
that's good. As long as each shoot you, or each lesson, each conversation, you pull one thing that you carry with you back to the studio, growth will just happen naturally. But it is a process. You know, a lot of people are looking to get to where they want to be immediately, and it's time. You know, it's a lot of failures, it's a lot of messed up shots, it's a lot of messed up focus, it's a lot of I didn't get the pose right and I didn't know what I was doing with my lights. You know, I have all of those failures, you know, in my portfolio, and all of those shots, you know, worse than way worse than anything any of the apprentices have brought to critique. Like, I knew nothing when I started. You know, it's okay to be a beginner. That's the biggest thing that I want, is that for you to realize that, like, not me, not anybody else, nobody is above you on a skill level. We just I started the race 6 years ago now. You know, I've been at it for more than half a decade as far as shooting goes. I guarantee you that if you stick with it until you've been doing it 5-6 years, you will be exactly where I am, or hopefully further than I am in terms of artistry and professionalism and success. It's just the work and which is why I push everybody to do what they really love, because it doesn't feel like work if you really love what you're doing. If it's playtime to you and it's dress up and it's creating these epic things, then you don't mind putting the time and the energy in it and doing it over and over again. It doesn't become repetitious for you. You're just excited to go play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking for. So, okay, so the next critique starts in a couple of minutes. Okay. Were there any questions or anything that you wanted to touch base on?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Are you feeling good? Are you excited for the rest of the foundation sphere?
I am.
Good. That makes me happy. Good. Okay, well, I will see you again at level 9. Go get congratulated by everyone and tell them it was awful, because they're not all watching it right now. Be like, she's just horrible, and scare them.
Okay.
Okay.
I couldn't do that.
All right, I'll see you again at level 9. Congratulations.
Thanks.